Abdulaziz, the UN Special Envoy to Somalia, Nicholas Haysom, says the country's electoral process was marred by the arrest of Mukhtar Rabo. Is there any reaction from the government to Thursday's UN Security Council briefing by the recently expelled envoy? And how is this likely to affect UN-Somalia relations?
Well, Karen, to be precise, that speech by Nicholas Haysom and the permanent representative of Somalia to the United Nations received a lot of viewership here in Somalia yesterday during that special session on Somalia by the UN Security Council. Now, coming back to your question in regards to if there's any statement from the Somali government, there hasn't been any formal statement from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs or either offices, that of the President or the Prime Minister. But from the speech that was read by the permanent representative of Somalia, Abukar Osman, immediately after Haysom's speech there in in New York, Mr. Osman said that the only reason as to why the Somali government acted in the manner it acted is because of the pressure that the international community has on Somalia, indicating that members with violent members who pose a threat to the society, who have radical ideologies like former militant commanders like Mukhtar Robo Abu Mansur, cannot vie for an elective post in Somalia. So Abukar Osman was literally criticizing the United Nations for its double standard, one of ensuring that Somalia adheres to the rule of law and ensures that people who with past violence don't come to office, and on the other end it's criticizing the Somali government for doing exactly that it was tasked with. So it's a big setback also on the side of the Somali government. The reason as to why he was expelled, the UN chief, the UN top diplomat here to Somalia, Nicholas Haysom. So the Somali government is of the view that it's not against the United Nations. It's part and parcel of the UN. It's a member state that helped form the United Nations. So the foreign minister is saying that what they're against is the language and the tone in which the special representative of Antonio Guterres here in Somalia is using, writing a letter directing it to junior and senior government officials and acting as a de facto leader of Somalia. So what the Somali government is against at this stage is not the UN, it's the special representative, and Mogadishu is optimistic that there will be no backlash from the UN because it plays a pivotal role in Somalia in terms of state building, access to democracy, rule of law, and return of law and order to Somalia. So Somalia and the UN, they need each other, and the UN will not be willing to risk all the years of efforts it has put here to strengthen the Somali government.
And the UNSC was also told the treatment of Rabo could impact the decision of potential al-Shabaab defectors. Is this assessment justified, would you say?
Well, that has been a key question that has been going around even on social media. Experts have been arguing that if the Somali government treated Mukhtar Robo in the manner it treated him, then won't these backfire on the government's amnesty program for former combatants to turn over to the Somali government? But then again, the different opinions here in Mogadishu and across many analysts. Now, one thing to note is that Robo for now is the government's most prized possession, is the most senior al-Shabaab commander to ever defect from al-Shabaab. And also we have other top al-Shabaab commanders including Hassan Dahir Awais, Mohammed Said Atam, who was head of the al-Shabaab in Puntland, and Zakaria Hirsi, who was also the head of intelligence for al-Shabaab. All these individuals are now in the custody of the federal government of Somalia. So it's not just a case related to Robo, and they're saying that the way they acted with Robo is because they warned Robo against seeking political ambitions. They told him that he has to be cleared fast, removed the international sanctions that are still against him. After that, then the government can determine his future. But until right now, Karen, as you speak, Robo hasn't formally stood in front of cameras and the media to denounce al-Shabaab ideology. All he said is that he is not a part of al-Shabaab anymore since 2012, and he turned over to the government. So in terms of the amnesty program, the United Nations plays a pivotal role in this. It has funded millions of dollars into this project to ensure that former combatants are reintegrated and rehabilitated, not just in Mogadishu but also in major cities all across Somalia. So on the other end of the UN, they will not want that program also to fail. So we are also witnessing a series of defections among low-level officials still from al-Shabaab in some regional states. So how the issue of the UN and Somalia will play out, Karen, remains to be seen, but it's one thing that Somalis are actually very focused on right now.